from the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus. This is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon, I'm Asta Pandikanan, and these are your news headlines for noon. BC's financial outlook is rather positive, with a forecasted budget surplus of $706 million for the current fiscal year. Finance Minister Selina Robinson says the first 3 months of this year show the province is in a strong position, even during the ongoing global economic crisis. The report Robinson posted today also indicated financial improvements over the next 3 years. BC's government also announced a $600 million relief plan to help families most in need as costs have been rising for goods and services. Nunavut says it is rolling out the newly approved bivalent COVID-19 vaccine. The territory is now offering the booster shots to people 70 and older and all residents and staff in long-term care facilities. It says it will expand eligibility for the vaccine as supply increases. A union representing nurses at the largest hospital in the Northwest Territories says the operating room conditions there are unsustainable and the government needs to do better in addressing the understaffing problems. The Union of Northern Workers says nurses at Stanton Territorial Hospital in Yellowknife are struggling mentally, physically, and emotionally to provide services. The union says the main concern is lack of meaningful engagement from senior government officials. A coalition on climate adaptation says Canada needs to do better. Brenda Molina-Navidad at the Canadian Press has the story.
Canada needs to set hard targets and goals to make the country more resilient to extreme weather. Climate Proof is recommending that air conditioning be a human right on par with winter heating as risks of extreme heat waves increase. I'm Brenda Molina-Navidad.
Lack of waste bins in the Silver Valley is causing a mess in trails. Riley Lyons at The Crow has more on this story.
The growing community of Silver Valley has a lack of waste bins and is suffering from an abundance of litter. The community is scattered with short trails in the area which give locals scenic walks without needing to drive far from home. Though without the necessary public garbage bins, the paths have become a dumping ground for dog waste and litter. Without public bins, trail goers aren't motivated to carry their trash home and simply leave it on the trails. With Maple Ridge's municipal election coming up in October, locals will be pushing the issues to the town council. Riley Lyons, 1680 The Crow.
And now we're joined by Riley Lyons. Hi, Riley. Has this been a long-term issue for Maple Ridge?
Well, the litter issue was also affecting communities in eastern Maple Ridge, like in the Garibaldi community. But recently, the city has built recycling bins and garbage bins in parks like Kanaka Falls, where litter was previously an issue.
Has the city commented on the issue yet?
This city and the councillors have not yet commented on the litter issue in the Silver Valley. It's likely that later into the municipal campaign, councillors and mayoral candidates will address the issue in their campaign promises.
Thanks a ton, Riley. The producers of the 74th Annual Emmy Awards are promising a feel-good event for tonight's ceremony.
Emmys host Kenan Thompson acknowledges there's a lot of stress for attendees, selecting outfits, walking the red carpet, and maybe losing. However, Thompson says it's an awesome thing to be in the room, and he doesn't want that to get lost. The Emmys will bring back an element that worked well during last year's scaled-down show, the club-style seating for nominees. The producers say the nominees had fun, and that translated on screen. Among the shows up for top awards are Squid Game, Severance, and Ted Lasso. The Emmys will air live on NBC and stream on Peacock. I'm Margie Zaraletta.
An American Airlines passenger will be going to jail and paying a hefty fine for her unruly behavior on a flight. Alex Stone at ABC News has more on the story.
The American Airlines flight was heading from Dallas to L.A. last year when federal prosecutors say Kelly Pichardo and another first-class passenger became unruly and were acting in an intimidating way. They say she spat on a man trying to record her. The flight diverted to Phoenix, and they were removed. Pichardo, who pleaded guilty, has now been sentenced to 4 months in federal prison, 36 months of supervised release, and she has to pay over $9,000. The other passenger will be sentenced in November. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Prosecutors have called R&B singer R. Kelly a sexual predator who used his fame to abuse minors during closing arguments in his federal trial in Chicago. Margie Zaraletta has more.
Prosecutor Elizabeth Posel told a jury that R. Kelly took advantage of a 14-year-old for his own sick pleasure. She said Kelly and his two co-defendants, associates Daryl McDavid and Milton Brown, recovered videos of the abuse and hid the evidence before Kelly's 2008 child pornography trial, at which he was acquitted. The legal teams for each co-defendant will present their closing arguments, with the jury likely getting the case tomorrow. Kelly has already been sentenced to 30 years in prison after a separate federal trial in New York in June. Margie Zaraletta, Chicago.
A little bit on sports. Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott said he is expected to have surgery on his right thumb after he was injured in the season opening. He is expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks, and the injury will likely land him on injured reserve. Prescott's injury happened in the fourth quarter as he was passing the ball over to his team. He then had to leave the game. Russell Wilson will be playing in Seattle for the first time after leaving the Seattle Seahawks. After 10 seasons and a Super Bowl championship, Wilson was traded from the Seattle Seahawks to the Denver Broncos. Many believe that Wilson was held back with the Seahawks and will get to watch how he puts up with his new team tonight at Monday Night Football. On weather today, there's a mix of sun and cloud outside, a 30% chance of showers this afternoon. Wildfires have caused lots of haziness, and the clouds will definitely be out. We get a high of 22 this afternoon and a low of 13 this evening. That was your news at noon. I'm Asta Pandi Kanan, and you're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Hello. I didn't see you there. My name is Kevin Yee, and I was your news dude this week. This is the companion call for 1680 The Crow, and today we're gonna take a break. What does that mean? Well, we're actually gonna talk about reading breaks on today's episode. What is a reading break? A reading break is a few days off in the middle of a semester designed to give students a bit of a much-needed vacation. It is meant to give them the chance to recharge their batteries and relax a bit, while also having the opportunity to catch up on any schoolwork if they need to. The reason we're talking about this right now is because the University of British Columbia is having their first ever fall reading break this week. Up until this week, UBC was one of the few post-secondary schools in the province to not have a reading break in the fall. Now that they've joined the dark side, or maybe the light side, depending on who you ask, that leaves BCIT as one of the few post-secondary schools in the province to not have a reading break in the fall. It is an exclusive club, and it feels good to be here, maybe. So to that end, we invited a couple of BCIT students into the broadcasting room to talk about what a reading break would mean to them. We discuss the stresses of the semester, we discuss our mental health, and what we do to look after it. We even had a chance to take a listen at what other BCIT students around the campus have to say about their dream reading break vacations. It was a fantastic discussion with lots of interesting points made. There's even a little bit about whether or not we need a reading break at all. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, my name is Kevin Yee, and I've been one of your news dudes this week. Joshua Rice has been the other one, and together... Thank you, Josh. He was the other news dude, and together we are hosting today's episode of The Companion Call. So please welcome to the show our esteemed guests, Michael Williams and Big Ben Bazran. And of course, thank you for listening to The Companion Call on 1680 The Crow. Let's take a listen at the conversation.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's Companion Call. I'm your host, Joshua Rice, with my co-host, Kevin Yee, and we are joined by two wonderful BCIT students, Ben Bazran and Michael Williams. How are we doing today, guys?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Feeling fantastic.
It's good to hear from Michael.
How's the school semester been for you guys?
It's been busy, especially after last year, where it just wasn't as intense at all. So definitely feeling a little stressed out. Could use a break.
Yeah, I am definitely getting the sense that this is more than it was last year.
Yeah.
Like for me, I also work from home, and when I was at the beginning of the semester, when I was negotiating with my boss how many hours I would have, I was basing it off of like the workload from last year, and it's way more, and it's actually a struggle to keep up.
I'd be very interested to figure out, like, what are the first year, are they grinding in the same hours that we are right now, or are they more of a schedule that we were on last year? Or was it just because of COVID? You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, it's hard to say, because last year, like, it was pretty relaxed. We were all able to work, I think.
Very relaxed. I don't know why I pointed to Adam there.
Because is Mike ever truly relaxed?
Oh, I was relaxed last year for sure. Yeah, no, last year wasn't a breeze, but there were definitely less stressful days than there already have been this year.
Yeah.
Right?
So
the more stressful days were last year.
So on like a scale on like a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is like the most stressed you've ever been. 1, you know, just chilling, happy days. Where would you say this semester has been?
This semester, I'd probably say I'm at like an 8.5 if I'm being completely honest. Like, I'm not the most stressed I've ever been, but there are days where I am very, very stressed, and I definitely feel like I'm at like my breaking point almost. So yeah, 8.5.
I think I'm gonna kind of cheat on this answer. On a Sunday night before a new role that I've never done before, going into a rotation that we had a 30-minute meeting on the Friday before, my stress is at a 9.
Yeah.
Like, it bordering 9.5. Like, not 10 when I'm going to go crazy, but, like, I have the scaries on a Sunday for sure. And then when you're kind of in the role, you're on Wednesday, or you kind of know what you're doing, it's down to, like, a 6, a 5. You still want to do well and contribute, but at least you kind of figure out what you're supposed to be doing. But that Sunday night, I mean, and that routinely every week, that catches up to you. It's exhausting.
Where would you be at, Josh?
Man, it's tough. I mean, like Ben said, starting a new role every week, it's like you get in the groove, and then next week you're just out of it, right?
Totally.
Yeah, probably a solid like average 7 on average. I'll give myself a 7.
For me, I'd say on a good day, it's probably like a 6, like you said. On a bad day, I'm probably up there with Michael, 8.5.
Yeah, it can fluctuate.
Yeah.
Definitely. What have been some of the biggest challenges you guys have faced? Like the tight deadlines, the quick turnover. What do you think?
For me personally, I think it's just we're doing so much more this year. Like the expectation of the amount of content we're producing each day or each week has really just ramped up from what it was last year. And then having to kind of go across all platforms and do that, you know, whether you're in digital, radio, or TV, there's aspects kind of woven into each of them, you know, like for example, for the record last week, you know, I'm interviewing people, which is a radio side. I'm doing wraparounds, which is a radio side. I'm writing scripts, but then I'm doing web posts and I'm, you know, tweeting about it and doing all this stuff on top. So I think just the overall expectation of how much we're meant to produce is ramped up.
Definitely get that, yeah.
I think it also it feels in a way it went from 0 to 100. I remember in Ian's first radio class, like one of his first couple weeks in radio last year, we had a week to do one wraparound. Like now it's, can you show up at 10 a.m. and have a wraparound by the noon cast? And you got to get a voice in that time. So that's extremely stressful because not just for yourself, you want to do well, you want to produce something well for the grades, for your resume, your portfolio, all that stuff. But you know, you don't want to let the news desker down. You don't want to let your team down. You want to give them the content. So it's definitely a more team environment, but that comes with a heavier burden this year as well. Whereas last year, since we were all separate, there was no team camaraderie.
Yeah, I definitely am with you on that. Last year, I really felt like we were 30 students all just doing our own thing.
Yeah.
This time, yeah, kind of adjusting to the team environment is a bit of a different thing than last year.
It's crazy to think, like, we're running the show now. Like, we run the radio station, we run the TV program, we run the web posts on our website. Like, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's, I remember last year when we had, like, the mini practicum and we half stepped into these roles, you would think that, like, the second year they must have been so on top of things to get things done, and like they must have known what they were doing. And then you get to a second year and you realize no one has any clue and we're all just winging it.
Yeah, definitely. It's been an adjustment. And being on campus, because we weren't last year, it's like finding things, like just getting used to being here for 9 hours a day, really.
Yeah, I would definitely say that's probably my biggest challenge, adjusting to being on campus. Because when you're in a Zoom class, you can kind of get up and walk around your house and, you know, you might have a cat or a roommate that you can unwind with. But when you're on campus and you kind of got to find the right balance to not go crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How have you guys been coping with the stress? Any techniques? Any recommendations?
Oh man, I use the gym. The gym's a big outlet for me. I think, you know, every day after school I try and go at least 4 days a week, and that helps a lot. Like I find, you know, I'm on my drive home and I'm still kind of thinking about my day, and you know, maybe I had a good day, maybe I didn't have a good day, and I'm, you know, maybe stressed out about it a bit or what I got to do the next day, and then by the time I leave the gym, it's kind of like I've just had a full refresh, and I feel like I'm back to myself and I'm grounded and I know what I have to do. And yeah, I'd say the gym for me is the main coping mechanism.
I think for me it's a few things. Like I'm a big golfer. Like going to the golf course, hit some balls, really clears the head. I'm getting into a habit now of I listen to music on the way in and on the way out of campus, and like pretty like upbeat, fun music. It kind of just, as soon as I leave this building, like I want to get my mind off of it until I got to start thinking about stories. So at least for that 30-minute drive home, I can kind of be with myself and put on a little concert in the car and just have some fun with some tunes.
You got any recommendations to really help that really gets you relaxed?
My latest intro song to BCIT has been Dynamite by Tayo Cruz.
Nice. That's an old one.
It really gets me in the zone though. Like I came to dance and I'm like, all right, we're ready to go right now.
That was a 2010 release. If
like
my
6:30 going into the parking lot.
Memory serves me right.
Nice. Gets you pumped.
It does.
We can probably find a sample of that. Who knows?
It's a banger.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that you'd benefit from a reading break in the winter term? Do you think that would help with your stress at all right now?
Do I think we would benefit from it? Absolutely. I think we have 4 rotations, each 3 weeks long. If you give us a week in between the second and third rotation to just kind of recalibrate, reset, I think it would go a long way for our mental health, for our work, just so we can do the best work possible and just to kind of step away. And I know going from internship to a new role to a new rotation, it takes a lot out of you, and you want to keep performing, keep getting good grades, and that can cause some serious fatigue.
What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Ben, but also, too, I'm one of those people that I really thrive off momentum. So when I'm kind of in the roles and going through them each week, yeah, it's stressful, yeah, it's tough. But if you give me that week off, maybe when I come back, it takes me a few extra days to get back into the rhythm. And I'll still be stressed out either way. I mean, the week off will be nice. But I think if you look at it in terms of, would I rather have a week off now and then cut it down to 3 weeks on winter break versus having the 4 weeks of winter break, I'll take the 4 weeks of winter break every time.
Wow.
All right, we have a disagreement. You guys might have to arm wrestle to see who's right.
He just said he goes to the gym a lot, so I don't really want to...
I don't want to mess up his golf swing.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Honestly, I think I'm with Ben on this one.
Yeah.
Having a break in the middle, I think, would be extra good for kind of recharging, resetting, than doing it all at the end. I'm with Ben on this one.
Joshy?
Yeah, I can definitely see both sides. I mean, having the whole month, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I feel like I'm dying out right now. It's getting tough.
It's the home stretch here.
Right.
But not even, though. We still got 3 more weeks of a pretty intense
Yeah.
rotation to go. So, I don't know. I look at it most universities, you finish classes December 6th, 7th, and you have exams for 10 days or so. You come back on the 15th to the 18th-ish. Our friends are mostly in other schools. They're doing school. What are you going to do that's that huge in December? Maybe you'll go skiing once or twice. There's not as much to do outside in December that there is in October. It's better weather in October. It's lighter outside. There's longer days in October. So I think it'd be more beneficial for us to have that week in October to reset. And then, 3 weeks for Christmas break still significantly long and a pretty good period of time. And you get the main time, you get Christmas and New Year's and all that. So I think it'd be beneficial to us to have that, and maybe you guys are kind of inspiring me. Maybe I'll push for that at some point in the program. I don't for the next generation of BCIT journalism students.
Let's if we can kind of make it smaller. Michael, would you rather have a 3-day weekend every week, or have Wednesdays off and still do stuff on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday?
I think it kind of goes back to what I said earlier. I'm a person that I kind of feed off my own momentum. So to cut that off in the middle of the week, I just feel like it would be hard for my brain to grasp. Hey, I got to go back to class Thursday and Friday and be productive and produce good work. Mm-hmm. So I think for me, I'd take the 3-day weekend.
All right, sticking to your guns.
Yeah.
I actually agree with Michael on this one.
Ooh.
I'm gonna take his side here because I get the whole point of taking Wednesday off. You either just had a day off or you're about to have a day off, no matter what day of the week it is, which is great for your sanity. If my math's right there,
I feel like it's not. I was just adding that up.
It is, right?
You either just had a day,
or you're about to have a day.
Yeah.
Off.
What if it's Tuesday?
Then you're about to have one on Wednesday.
Oh, if there's no I see. Okay.
So that is enticing, but I would hate to have not shown up today knowing I have to show up tomorrow and Friday then. Because like Michael said, and he's right about this, you kind of get into a groove with your role. You want to do that properly. And a 3-day weekend, we have a 4-day weekend kind of coming. We have a bunch of work to do, but it'll be nice. It's something to look forward to.
Definitely. And if you were given the opportunity to have a reading break, a week off in the middle of the semester, what would you do? How'd you spend it? Who'd you see?
Go first.
I'd golf for sure. Really take my mind off it. So
Nice.
Keep harping on that, but I'd golf. I'd hang out with some friends. Just really lay low. Try to take my mind off of everything to do with school, at least for a little bit before I gotta get going, and see some radio guys. Go to a couple Canucks games maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just hang out. Just be super chill. Get some good sleep. That's absolutely what I do. Is not wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
For myself, if I had, some money, I'd probably try and maybe go somewhere nice for a couple days. I'm not too sure how it would work with COVID and, getting there and back in the week time slot. But if not traveling, I'd probably do something similar to Ben. I just recharge the batteries, try and make sure I get lots of sleep every night, hang out with friends, just, try and focus on anything but school. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to cheat and do two answers. One, what I would want to do, and one, what I would probably do. What I'd want to do is go out to PEI and visit my aunt and grandma who just moved there.
Wow.
I've never been to PEI, and I love my Nana, so it's just a perfect thing.
That's awesome.
But I don't have the money for that. So what I'd probably end up doing is just punching in a lot of hours at work, and honestly probably wouldn't relax that much, but it'd be a different kind of working. It's, work stress is different from school stress, and I would still want the break from school stress for sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, man, I think I'd go home. I haven't seen my family in a couple months now that I'm living on campus, so go home, recharge, not think about school for a little bit, and just kind of hang out.
Two very wholesome answers there of what you guys would do.
Yeah.
I like that.
And we also asked some other students around campus about what they would do, and we can take a look at their answers now.
So guys, what would you do if you're given a week off for reading break?
Oh, wow. If I had a week off, I would do a little self-care. I would do a lot of yoga. I would make some smoothies. I would sleep in and probably go for a couple runs.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if I had a week off, I would probably just build up my portfolio because, I mean, even if we have 7 days off, it's not like I can escape school.
Probably go to Mexico.
I would either catch up on reading and actually use the break, or take the time off to do like a personal, like, away from school, like, trip or something like that.
Relax. Yeah.
Probably study more because we know that BCIT crams everything in that one last week.
Yeah.
So definitely study more, and I think I'll be able to get better grades.
I would use my flight voucher from a vacation that I booked prior to the pandemic. I'd take a trip to Disneyland.
I had an extra week off for reading break. I would fly down to Chicago to go spend some time with my girlfriend that I'm in a long distance relationship with.
I'll actually finish Grey's Anatomy because it never ends.
I will travel to Squamish or Victoria Island because I just landed here in January and I haven't been there yet, so I'm going to visit there and discover Canada more.
I think it'd be really beneficial, just like course load's really heavy here at BCIT. You could use that time to study or like just to relax, and help me get my mind back into my studies. So it'll probably even help me get better marks.
I would take that time to relax.
Well, if I had the finances and the ability to travel, I would definitely probably go to Scottsdale where my parents have a house and spend some time in a sunnier continent.
I'd take the time to relax, sleep in, but also work because I work on the side part-time.
I'd probably study and relax a bit.
Okay, now that we're back, do you guys think that the mental health of students would benefit from a reading break? You can talk about yourself personally or try and generalize.
Well, we just did it at the same time there.
Yeah, a little lip smack.
Yeah.
I think the obvious answer is yes. I mean, everyone gets stressed out. Everyone's feeling a little burnt out. Like we all said, it's been kind of feels like month after month of us just coming to school every day and, producing lots of work. So I definitely think, it would help for sure. I kind of forget what the second part to that question was. Was there a second part?
No, I think that was pretty much it.
Well, then yes.
I'm right with Michael there. I think it absolutely would help our mental health. The danger, to play devil's advocate a little bit, would be I don't want to get a reading week because people want to be lazy for a week. Like, I get you want to recharge your batteries, like we both have said or whatever, but I don't want it to be just because you want to sit around and do nothing. I think there's a purpose for this, and it's so we can do better work eventually, not just to sit around and get in a slump and then come back like not ready to go. So if they test it out and they find like people like Michael who they might lose momentum, then they do not that well for the next rotation for the first little bit, then maybe that's a problem. And maybe you want to keep that high intensity up the entire time. So maybe it's an experimental thing.
There actually was a second part to that question. Oh. The second part is, and why? So, Ben, you mostly answered that, but do you want to give that another shot, Michael?
Why it would be so beneficial?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, now that I hear what Ben says, I kind of agree with him too. Like, for myself, like, I don't know, if I get assigned reading over a week and no one's really monitoring me and there's no, like, quiz or test when I get back, right, I'm probably not going to do it, if I'm being completely honest. Connie, if you're watching, I will read whatever you send me. But, yeah, no, yeah, it would be beneficial.
Well, we don't want to take up too much more of your guys' time, but 3 weeks left in the semester.
Yeah.
How do you plan on pushing through, and what are you doing after to celebrate Christmas break?
Back to me again?
I'll go first?
Yeah.
I'll go first this time. How would I plan on pushing through? Wow, I just think you see the finish line. It's kind of like you're turning, if you're running a 400-meter race, you're turning for the last 100. You can just see the end there, so push through, get it done. There's no other real answer other than that. Like, we're all tired, we're all fatigued, we've all put in a lot of work and made some awesome content. It's been a lot of fun. Just keeping spirits up, staying in a good routine, getting sleep is kind of what I plan on. And then the second part was what do you plan on doing to celebrate the finish of the semester and Christmas break? The Friday the 3rd we finish, I hop on a flight that night to go see my sister in Montreal and then go to see Toronto, all my friends back out east. And that'll be fun. And then I have Christmas with my family this year. So that should be fun. Reset myself and be ready to go come early January.
I thought we finished on the 13th.
We finished on the 3rd.
3rd is the last day.
And then we're off till...
The 4th?
Of January. Nice.
Yeah.
Learning something new.
And what would you do between the 3rd and 4th?
God. I know I got to work a bit. I've blown quite a bit of money that I saved up in the summer, so I'm definitely going to have to get back to the restaurant for a solid few weeks. My family's going to be in Palm Springs, so they're probably going to try and find a way to get me down there. And I'll probably go, just because who doesn't want to go to Palm Springs?
Can't turn that down.
Yeah. Especially if the flight's paid for. Mom, please.
But, even better.
Yeah. Yeah, man, just go down to Palm Springs, come back, kind of just stay chill, work. You know, I don't really get up to anything that crazy. And then just in terms of getting through these last 3 weeks, I'm looking forward. Next week I start industry, so that's something I haven't done yet. So it's kind of giving me like a bit of an energy boost, if you'd say. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Perfect. Well, that's all the time we have, guys. We appreciate you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
This week's companion call.
Thanks, guys.
As climate change worsens, innovation has become key. At an automotive workshop in Burnaby, students work clustering around vehicles, learning how to keep them in running order. But for some, this hands-on practice is now being applied for a new kind of vehicle, low emissions and electric vehicles. Chattis Leo investigates.
With the window to tackle climate change rapidly closing, it's becoming more pressing to switch to renewable sources to power transport, housing, and other utilities. But at BCIT, one program is already addressing such a need. It's the Department of Automotive, Motor, and Power Sport. Program head Steve Elder, a former retrofitter and certified mechanic, starts off by telling us about the origins of the program.
We were funded for this program by the Ministry of Energy and Mines and Low Carbon, and they had come in at about 2018 and wanted us to start providing training for other people who were involved in the industry outside of the manufacturers. So up until this point, really the only training that was available for automotive technicians was from the manufacturers themselves. So the idea was that we would plan and build, based with, of course, with the government's help, we would have a different approach, and we would have sort of an aftermarket view rather than having to go through the manufacturers.
Before Steve got into the nuts and bolts of the program and what it's doing to tackle climate change through teachings of renewable energy, he first talked about how he first got into this sector of the industry.
I guess really as the industry had matured over the years that I was working, on internal combustion engines, we saw the introduction of hybrids at the end of the 1990s, and then pretty slow sort of uptake in them, but I was kind of keeping an eye on them and, was interested in them, started taking some training with some outside trainers, as well as doing manufacturers training as well on hybrids and electric vehicles. So that kind of segued into what I'm doing today.
Is it that one or that one? Yep. That one? You remove our... Okay, so...
Okay, so yeah, I think that what we actually do in this course is we show them how to rebuild battery packs. So in other words, they can take a battery pack, write it apart, take it down to the cell level, identify failed cells, and then replace them. Then charge the batteries back up. That's with a certain chemistry. It depends what chemistry we've got, but we're still, even with batteries that are lithium ion, which is the very common, all manufacturers are using them now for a plug-in electric vehicle, then we're still showing them how to repair those, take them right down to the cell level.
Brent Lassus, an instructor for the School of Transportation through BCIT, talks about a bit of the challenges when it comes to teaching this new type of technology.
I think some of the biggest challenges is actually finding training material, having the vehicles, having the required vehicles. Obviously, if you're teaching, say, hybrids and electric vehicles, you need to have the vehicles here, you need to have the training aids. So sometimes procuring them can be a bit difficult, especially now. It's hard to come by the vehicles. There's a huge waiting list to buy vehicles, new and used. So that's usually the biggest hurdle that we have, is also having we use live training aids on vehicles, but we also have training aids set up, training stations set up, and just finding those materials and just finding all the tooling to work on them can be the most challenging part. Yeah.
Similar to the students that attend the program at BCIT, both Brent and Stephen truly believe that the path of teaching renewable technology is the right way to go when tackling climate change.
It's exciting. I don't know, it wasn't the primary reason for going. I've always liked new technology. Just in general, electric vehicles are smoother, faster, more efficient. So the savings in fuel costs, but then also the climate factor is also a big part of it, obviously, too. It's not the only thing, but Yeah, just for me, and it was a fun transition to learn all these new technologies and things like that. I think that's the biggest thing is if you're willing to learn, you can definitely make the transition.
Oh, I think it's awesome because if you've ever driven an electric vehicle or been for a drive in an electric vehicle, someone else driving, you'll know that they're extremely fast, they're extremely quiet. There's very little maintenance on them. We've gone from internal combustion engines that could be upwards of 2,000 moving parts to vehicles that have got maybe 20 moving parts. So we're headed in the right direction for sure.
In a world where climate change is an ever-pressing issue, we need to teach the next generation on how to properly protect the planet. And the Motive Power program at BCIT is doing just that. For The Crow, with co-producer Jasper Chu, this is Chattis Leo.
You may see them on the streets of Vancouver, plastic bags slung over their shoulders, picking up cans or bottles. Some call them dumpster divers. Others may just ignore their existence, but the Binners of Vancouver are a hardworking group of people who are helping to clean our city up. Shivani Joshi joins a local binner on his trap line as she learns the way binning sustains a living for one of the most marginalized groups in urban neighborhoods across North America.
And this is another thing I don't like. People taking these out. But
I'm walking up to 312 Main Street, a building once occupied by the VPD that now houses several social enterprises. It's a typical rainy Vancouver day, and I'm joining Bill, a cheerful 64-year-old man who's part of the Binners Project, on his regular route to collect empties.
my name's Bill Piggott. I've been with the Binners Project now for almost 6 years. When I came into the Binners Project, my doctor told me I had to lose weight, and the only thing I could do is walk. And the walking is stupid and stuff like that, stupid to pick up cans. It actually, even though I suffer from COPD, that's a very, very strong lung disorder, and suffer from hypertension. So, I didn't think it would be good for me, but it actually worked out to be pretty good. And, I lost 60 pounds in less than a year and maintained my weight, so.
Bill's typical trap line is nearly 3.5 kilometers long. We started off at 312 Main. We made our way underneath the Georgia Viaduct, past Science World, until we got to Habitat Island. After that, we strolled through Olympic Village and then headed back to 312, making a stop at every recyclable bin on the route. Our jackets and shoes drenched in rain, this walk took us about 2 hours.
Well, it's my route's been pretty well the same thing. We call it a trap line. And a hunter goes out and sets his trap line, and then goes and checks it. But and it's like after a while you start thinking, hey, this is my property type thing. Welcome to it. I don't care about other people picking up on it, but don't do stuff like as I was saying when I was clearing out the edges and stuff like that. If you're going to pick up empties there, clear the thing like I do. Yeah. And I try to do that as an example. When I have quite a bit and I've got empties, I like to leave 1 or 2 cans out just as an example for people to see as they're walking around. This is where the cans go. Yeah. Here you're going to see what I'm talking about. What I do with the bin.
Yeah. Oh, these are the ones they lock up?
No, these are the ones they don't lock up.
These are the ones they just have on the side?
Yep, they have the side, but you see the waste.
You can open the door as well? Or?
Yep. And you see the waste there? Yeah. That's not what's supposed to be there. So bottles and cans only.
As we trek down his trap line, Bill shows me how he collects.
I just carry the bags. I like to feel the bag.
Yeah.
On my shoulder. I don't like the sound of the wheels always hitting ruts in the road. And just click, 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 click as you're walking down the road. It's just, and stuff like scuffing their feet and stuff like that.
Yeah. And you don't pick up bottles?
I don't pick up glass because glass is very heavy.
Yeah.
For one thing, and that's not even the more dangerous one. I one time had a piece of glass jab into my back because a beer bottle broke in my bag. And things like that can happen quite often.
Beyond the physical challenges Bill deals with on a day-to-day, working in the informal recycling sector comes with social and emotional challenges as well.
One of my biggest challenges is people look at us and they call us bums. You know, listen, we're working. We're not asking anybody for anything. In fact, we're cleaning up that a lot of times. So, you know, as a vendor, we have dripping bags, and there's, you know, the bags are could be anything in there from beer to some people urinate in bottles and stuff, and when you're walking around afterwards, you know, the odor can be pretty strong sometimes. Yeah. And it's hard to get out of your clothes.
I spoke to Sean Miles, director of the Binners Project, regarding how the organization is helping to reduce the stigma Binners face.
So one is that very early on, the project developed a uniform, which is green shirt with our logo and a hat as a way to legitimize the work that Binners are doing. And many of the Binners are very proud of their uniform and you know, get recognized in the community wearing those things. And that's something that we think is a great tool for destigmatizing. We also regularly engage with the city and others, the province, and trying to ensure that Binners are in the room to give their voice to things, which helps, again, legitimize their experience and the work that they're doing.
Do you feel like you have a greater sense of community as a result of this program?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Are a lot of your friends part of this program?
No.
from the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus. This is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mac Fleet here with your 1 o'clock sports update. The Toronto Blue Jays host the division rival Tampa Bay Rays Monday night in a game with huge playoff implications. Both teams currently have 78 wins. The Rays are the first wildcard team, while the Blue Jays currently sit third. Jose Barrios will be the starting pitcher for the Jays, while Cooper Criswell will be getting his first start of the season for the Rays. This game kicks off the first game of a 4-game series for these teams. Russell Wilson will make his Denver Broncos debut tonight as he returns to Lumen Field to face his former team, the Seattle Seahawks. Wilson spent the last 9 seasons with the Seahawks and helped them win their first ever Super Bowl back in 2013 against the Denver Broncos. The Broncos have not made the playoffs since winning their last Super Bowl in 2015. Wilson will be the 12th different quarterback to start a game for the Broncos since 2016. Pittsburgh Steelers player TJ Watt is seeking a second opinion on his pectoral injury that he suffered in Sunday's win over the Bengals. Watt left the game late in the fourth quarter and did not return. If Watt requires surgery, he would likely miss the rest of the season. However, if it is just a sprain, he could be back much sooner. Watt's teammate Najee Harris underwent an MRI Monday as well after Sunday's game. The Steelers fear that Harris tweaked his foot injury that he originally suffered in training camp. Dak Prescott is expected to undergo surgery on his right thumb injury he suffered in last night's loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Initial reports say that Prescott could miss as much as 8 weeks. Due to Dallas's current cap situation, Cooper Rush is now the only other quarterback on the Cowboys roster. Rush won his first ever start last season against the Vikings, filling in for Prescott after he suffered a calf injury. Former Kansas City's chief assistant coach Britt Reed has pleaded guilty to driving while intoxicated, resulting in serious physical injury after his truck hit 2 parked cars in 2021 and left a young girl with a traumatic brain injury. Reed entered his plea Monday. The son of Chiefs coach Andy Reid was scheduled to go on trial on September 26. Prosecutors allege Britt Reed was intoxicated and speeding when he hit 2 stopped cars on an interstate exit ramp near Arrowhead Stadium in February of 2021. 6 people were injured, including Reed. 5-year-old Ariel Young suffered a traumatic brain injury. The plea deal means Reed faces a possible sentence of up to 4 years in prison, although he could be placed on probation. 3 more EPL games postponed ahead of the Queen's funeral. 3 English Premier League games scheduled for this weekend have been called off on safety grounds while authorities make preparations for the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. Manchester United's home game against Leeds and Liverpool's match at Chelsea were both set to take place on Sunday, but have been postponed. Brighton's home game against the Crystal Palace will remain postponed. It had initially been called off because of a rail strike that will now not happen. It reduces the next round of the league to a 7-game schedule. All 10 games were postponed last weekend as a mark of respect following the death of the Queen on Thursday. Now on to hockey. Nick Suzuki was named the 31st captain of the Montreal Canadiens Monday afternoon. He is just 23 years old and is now the youngest captain in team history. Suzuki will be taking over the captaincy from Shea Weber, who hasn't played since Game 5 of the 2021 Stanley Cup Final. Suzuki addressed the fans via the Canadiens' Twitter page.
Bonjour tout le monde, c'est un honneur de devenir capitaine de Canadien de Montréal. Thank you all for all your comments and tweets and support. It's truly an honor. Go Habs, go.
The Canadiens also announced this morning that RBC will be their official game jersey partner. The NHL announced earlier this year that they will be implementing jersey sponsors. The defending Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche signed Evan Rodriguez to a 1-year, $2 million contract today. Rodriguez is coming off a career year last season with the Pittsburgh Penguins, where he scored 19 goals and 43 points. Thanks for tuning in to your 1 o'clock sports update with Mac Fleet on 1680 The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.